Derrick was saying that the last play was designed to go to you. Obviously, they couldn't get you the touch there. Just sort of, how frustrating is that to not have that opportunity at the end?
It's tough. It's tough. Definitely a winnable game for us. We had some opportunities. Even at the end, we had some opportunities that didn't go our way. It's a learning experience. This whole, is going to be a learning experience from day one. We got a bunch of new guys. We're playing a new style. I thought we played hard today. I thought I played a winnable game. We just, some crucial errors that cost us. But I'm looking forward to watching film and learning and staying with the journey. But that happens. We got a new group that's still figuring things out. Some of these other teams and stuff have played together for a little bit more. So there's going to be some ups and downs. But I'm looking forward to just learning every day with the group. And I'm looking forward to when we get to that point where we catch our win, what that could possibly be.
Oh! God. Jaylen Brown, a winnable game is a game when you're right there. It's yours. You can just reach out, you can grab it. A winnable game is not a game where you are up 13 points in the fourth quarter and you defecate all over yourselves and you blow it. Ountae Campbell, Adam Kaufman, hold my banner. VJ Edgecombe, the rookie in his debut, went I'll hold my beer last night with 34 points. 34 for the Sixers.
Yeah.
The hapless Philadelphia 76ers in his first game in the NBA, which is the most points since Wilt Chamberlain in a rookie debut put up north of 40 like 75 years ago.
He was third. There was somebody in between, some old dude named
No,
Frank.
most since. Okay. Selfie, who you're talking
Yes.
about, was more. He had 1 point more. He had 35, but that was even before Wilt.
Yeah.
So
which is why I
Wilt
don't
back
know
in,
who
I
he
think,
is.
59.
No friends, Frank Selfie.
Wilt back in 59, and then Edgecombe last night against our Celtics. Ountae, it was a 117-116 loss at the Garden. First game of the season, obviously, and what Jaylen Brown was talking about there with Gary Washburn and others was this opportunity, this gift that you were given. At least if you had to blow a 13-point lead, which they did not, they get a gift of Edgecombe missing two free throws. You were in the building last night, and we can show you some pregame footage as well that Ountae was able to grab while he was there, because these were happier times before this game actually happened. Peyton Pritchard, in the final 8 seconds, takes not one but two tries to effort winning this game. He said after the game, the first time around, he was actually kind of looking for the foul, which I don't like to begin with. And the second time, he had less than 2 seconds on the clock, so fine. Ball goes to him. It doesn't go to Jaylen Brown. A lot of people have been griping about that today. But the bigger thing, man, I went into this game wanting one of two things. You win the game, and it's like, okay, Boston, all right, take care of Embiid and the Sixers, and we'll get to Embiid. Or you lose the game, and it's, okay, so this is what this season's going to look like, because Philly's not that good. And what I didn't want was you have it and you just give it away. It was so frustrating.
It was definitely a very frustrating game for us as fans, for media members, for the players as well, for everybody involved, because you see an opportunity, especially when you know this schedule that's coming up, this gauntlet that everybody's been talking about, and you have an Embiid go 1 for 9. When you and Travis and
Shell of himself
sat across from each other in the last episode, we all talked about what Embiid could do to this Celtics team and how that could be detrimental to this team. But you and I both thought that they would prevail through all of that. I did not have on my bingo card that Embiid would be absolutely garbage, and the 76ers would still find a way for a rookie to put up 34 and Tyrese Maxey, who might be shorter than you, Adam Kaufman.
He's in better shape, though.
Dropping 40 points.
40 burger. Listen to this, Ountae. You said it. Joel Embiid, he plays 20 minutes. He looks like arse. He's, a shell of himself. Paul George, unavailable. Jared McCain, standout rookie last year, unavailable. And so it's Maxey and it's Edgecombe. And these two guys, maybe the best backcourt in the NBA, apparently. 74 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, 26 of 50 shooting.
Jesus.
12 of 22 from 3, 10 of 14 from the free throw line because, again, Edgecombe missed two at the very end there.
Yep.
I mean, this game, again, Jaylen, this is not a winnable game. Winnable is like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
You're up 13 points in the fourth quarter, and you get outscored 42-30 in the final. 42 points they allowed in the fourth quarter. I mean, people want to point to the offense, and you can. And this was one of my big concerns coming into the season, Ountae, that Mazzulla was going to continue on with this Mazzulla ball, jack up threes, and it's not so much that I have an issue with the jacking up of threes. I know it's where we are in the NBA.
Yeah.
But they don't have the same talent as they had last year. They don't have the same caliber of shooter as they did last year. And that flashed game one. Now, granted, Peyton Pritchard was not himself. He went 1 for 7. But Chris Boucher, Xavier Tillman, Luka Garza, who left with a concussion, these 3 guys were a combined 0 for 7. You went 11 of 43 from 3, not even 26%. People could point to the offense and say you lost there, and I wouldn't wholly disagree. But the defense and the lack of stops, especially with a rookie, and he was awesome. Edgecombe was so much fun to watch. But it's still his first damn game in the NBA. Maybe try and slow him down just a little bit in the fourth quarter.
I think it's one of those things that people talk about a lot in football, about complementary football, right? That all 3 phases need to play well together and all this other stuff.
You sound great, Belichick. Keep going.
Defense is the same thing in the NBA. It honestly is. Like, the coaching scheme has to match the players on the perimeter's ability, has to match what the defense at the back end on the front court can handle in that aspect as well, right? So if you don't have guys who can block shots at the rim, you need to have perimeter defense that can slow guys down before they can get there. If you don't have either of those things, you have to have a coach that can scheme to whatever the best of the abilities of your team are. Can you get in the passing lanes? Can you speed dudes up? Can you guard 94 feet and kind of slow down that offense so that the half-court offense isn't as good? You have to find ways to do that. Right now with the Boston Celtics, they're still trying to figure each other out, and so they aren't sure what they are on the defensive end. And Joe's job is going to figure out what their best ability is to do every night in, night out. I saw last night, you saw JB starting out on Joel Embiid, which was surprising the most, at least surprising to me, to see him come out when you have Sam Hauser in the lineup at the 4.
Positionless basketball.
You're thinking that you're probably going to see him guard like a Barlow, or you're going to have Keita on Embiid. That's what you think the traditional style. To see him go out there and put Jaylen Brown on them, and it worked, was a good thing, right? But there was the things of, they couldn't stop the drive. They couldn't stop their bigs from getting into foul trouble. They couldn't stop VJ Edgecombe, as you said, a rookie in his first game, from just jumping in the dude's chase, baiting them into fouls. And what did Tillman do every time? Hands down. What did Keita do every time? Hands down. And then complaining to the ref and asking Joe for challenges. They have to be smarter than this if they're going to be able to survive in this NBA gauntlet, because it only gets worse from here. And
tough schedule
was soft last night. You're going to play bigs, Detroit, New York, even New Orleans, who are going to be a little savvier, smarter. That front court last night for the 76ers, awful. One of the worst in the league.
No, I mean, I had friends texting me about this after the game, Ountae. I think maybe because you keep bringing it up Embiid, and rightfully so, because he was such a non-factor. I think the most alarming thing, if you're putting together the pie chart of problems, right? One of the more alarming things to come out of that game is the Celtics were plus 16 in a 1-point loss with Joel Embiid on the floor.
Right.
That means with Embiid unavailable, quick math for you folks, the Celtics were a minus 17.
Yes.
That just can't happen, especially if you're out-rebounding them, which you did.
And you matched the offensive rebounds that they had. They had 10, you had 10. But, it's one of those things where it matters when you get them. Because early on in that game, you saw Keita miss an offensive rebound. He let Dominic Barlow, which should be the easier assignment between the two bigs, get an offensive rebound, tip it out. Tyrese Maxey gets a catch-and-shoot 3 off the tip out and knocks it down. Now he's going. So now, instead of him getting that one, and now he's trying to figure out where he fits in this offense still, with VJ kind of going off early, maybe they lean into VJ more. Maybe they don't, he doesn't get going. And next thing you know, he's 2 out of 2. 3 out of 3. He just kept stringing them 7 from 10 from 3.
Yeah,
and it's
can't
all
happen.
because you guys just let them get comfortable from the offset. So those are the things that, Joe Mazzulla knows, that this team knows that they can't do. They can't allow the guy who we know. If Embiid's going to look like that, who would you think is going to shoot the ball?
Maxey's a bucket.
You got to find a way to stop him. So allowing him to get a lot of comfortable, easy looks, which it was for him all night, is a huge problem for them.
Look, I still think the Celtics are a playoff team. I still think they're a 40-plus win team. It's just one of the things that's really frustrating is that game seemed a little bit representative of what we're going to get often. Not every game, but often throughout this year. And I mean, Celtics are going to work hard, but they're going to shoot poorly, and they're going to struggle to create for one another, and they're going to have these defensive lapses and breakdowns and occasionally give away a winnable game, which is what happened. I mean, those are just some of, at least my takeaways, and some of your takeaways. Let's hear from the head coach, Joe Mazzulla, with his takeaways.
Joe, what do you take away from this one? I mean, the last 4 minutes seemed to be kind of where everything went haywire. And
yeah, I mean, you take that, again, it just goes back to the process of winning. It doesn't matter. It's the transition opportunities in the first half. They had 18 points. I would say 40 to 50% of Maxey's points came in transition and at the free throw line. And so he's great at that, but you have to be able to do that. And it's just the details, It's the transition defense. It's the timely offensive rebounds. It's the execution, just all those things that go into winning, and they're habits that you just have to continue to fight for.
3-game trip on the way. It begins with New York tomorrow night. Of course, the team that knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs and contributed, at least in some form, to Jason Tatum being injured and where we sit right now without him. Detroit, New Orleans after that. We'll get to the trip a little bit later on in the program. And there were some bright spots from this game that we can talk about a little later as well. Jaylen Brown in terms of his playmaking. Derrick White sparking that, 5-point deficit to an 11-point lead with a 16-0 run that the Celtics had, and he had 13 points in that third quarter. Nimi Keita, we haven't even mentioned him. Solid.
Fantastic game, 17 and 8. That's all you can ask for out of him.
Be a star in your role. So again, we'll talk about some of these things a little bit later on. I feel like, Stefan, the old Bill Hader SNL character, right? It's like, we got everything for you today. We got the Celtics giving away a game. We got a rookie dropping 34 points. We got the Mafia, the Italian mob, making a comeback. We got an illegal gambling ring and a guy who could have been the Celtics head coach getting suspended, maybe going to jail for the foreseeable future. Possibly. We'll see. We're going to touch on a lot of that. Sam McQuillan, Legal Sports Report, is going to join us next. We'll break down what, if you have been sleeping or under a rock, what a day in the NBA. Nessa Nation, we're back here on Hold My Banner with Ountae. I'm Adam, and of course the Celtics lost. Not the big story of the day in the NBA, not that it would be anyway, but this right here, what you see from ABC News. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups. Remember him? Former Celtics draft pick, Hall of Famer, charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the Mafia. Law enforcement sources have told ABC News. Miami guard Terry Rozier, another former Celtic, arrested in a separate but related betting case. The league has reacted, at least briefly. Shams Charania, ESPN. These two guys, Billups, Rozier, placed on immediate leave from their respective teams. There's a former assistant, Damon Jones, who has been arrested in conjunction with this case. Now, obviously, this is a live program. I emphasize that to our podcast listeners because this is all developing rather rapidly. But the FBI, Ountae, has held a press conference today, and you know it's bad when the FBI gets involved. And look, I could spend 20 minutes just giving you all the details, but some of the highlights from this. Again, right now, as far as NBA personnel, it's just Billups, Rozier, and Damon Jones. Illegal gambling and sports rigging operations spanning across 11 states. 30 individuals have been arrested, 13 Mafia members included. Case involves the Italian mob. Again, charges include illegal gambling, wire fraud, and extortion. 2 separate indictments, the first involving 6 defendants accused of participating in a sports corruption scheme that exploited insider information involving NBA players and teams. We remember Rozier being connected to this stuff last season and being cleared by the NBA, by the way. Not the law, but by the NBA.
By the NBA.
The other indictment involving 31 defendants charged with participating in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. And there's all sorts of technology and X-ray machines to be able to see cards face down on a table, all these details that have come out. High tech involved in this, obviously. The two cases separate. However, 3 overlapping defendants in the 2 cases, including the former NBA player and coach, Damon Jones. So not Billups, not Rozier, just to let people know. The FBI says the NBA player Rozier told defendants he was going to leave a game early on March 23rd, 2023, at this point almost a couple or more than a couple of years ago, with an injury. The defendants then placed more than $200,000 of wagers on unders on his prop bets. Rozier left the game after 9 minutes, sure enough, and those paid out tens of thousands of dollars in profits, and the defendants and Rozier counted the money at his house.
Wow.
Like straight out of a movie, man. So this has, and there's more involving Jountae Porter, threatened to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. Of course, Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, he has been, banned from the NBA at this point. Teams bet on during this sports gambling scheme include the Hornets, the Blazers, the Lakers, and the Raptors. And the rigged poker games occurred in the Hamptons, Miami, Vegas, Manhattan. And there's so much more that's just getting you ready with all this stuff. I mean, did you expect to wake up to this morning, my friend?
I didn't. I did not at all. But I knew, waking up, getting ready for the show, I was texting you. I was like, man, there's something that's going to happen. Like, I'm sorry, we got to, delay a little bit of this time because I feel like something big is happening in the NBA. I don't know. I just felt like one of those Windhorse moments. It was like I was hitting one of these, Adam, where I'm like, I can't believe this. Just because we saw the Jountae Porter situation go down, and you would think, obviously, these guys were doing it around the same time, allegedly, at least according to the FBI in their investigation, right, that they were doing this at this time. And so it's one of those things where I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, how could you not see your peer and get to the realization, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't, illegally bet. Maybe I won't get away with this. But everyone always thinks, it won't be me, it will be somebody else. This is all obviously coming down as if this would happen. I don't know the full details. We have no idea. They are not, officially,
This is all still very much developing.
Still developing. So, if this is true, this is a really bad look for the NBA. And they have Adam Silver's main job now has to be to figure out a way to get betting out of the NBA system.
We're efforting Sam McQuillan to have him on and keep breaking this stuff down right now, but it is fascinating, obviously, what ends up happening going forward, like you said, with respect to Adam Silver. There's the fact that, and a lot of this has been kind of mocked on social media at this point in the day and is going to continue, the fact that the league has, sportsbook partners, gambling organization partners, obviously, that, there are, in terms of the prop betting element of it, especially, it's been viewed as this kind of, just you wait, it's coming. There's going to be a problem. This is unavoidable. This is going to create issues within the league. These are only humans, especially some of these players, not a Rozier necessarily, but some of these guys that are, not as well paid, rookie deals, a Jountae Porter, type of situation who guys, it's like, all right, they're not stars, they're not even, barely role players, they're not long for the league, and so how can they make, I'm using the expression, but a quick buck and pay out their friends in the process? And so these are just kind of one of these things, Ountae, that it's like this is going to rear its ugly head. Like, as with the increased legalization of sports betting, obviously across the country, and this not being just a bookies thing or just a Vegas thing or just an offshore thing. Like, at some point, it's going to come to a head. And admittedly, and maybe I'm naive, some of this stuff that we're now hearing about today, and this is not all sports betting. Again, the Italian mob is involved with regard to this poker syndicate, but this is all happening a little faster than I expected it.
Yeah, and now it's happening a lot faster than I expected too. What I did want to ask you is, like, now that these guys are suspended by the NBA, as their statement, came out with Terry Rozier and, Chauncey Billups very much being a part of these organizations, the Miami Heat and the Portland Trailblazers, like, what do you think that does to those teams. You know what I mean? What does that do to the Miami Heat? What does that do to the Portland Trailblazers, who are now being led by Tiago Splitter as their interim coach in the moment? Like, you're getting ready for a season. Both of these teams have played one game so far. And then today, you know, they have to deal with this news and, like, have to try to move on quick. How much will this affect them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's the shame of it or benefit of it, I'm not really sure which, is that this is just, we're one game into the NBA season, and not everybody has even played at this point in time. And so it's all so new. You can attempt, obviously, it's completely different. But in this way, in terms of preparation and sort of locker room culture and impact on players and staff, like locally, right? I can't help but think back to the Ime Udoka scandal, when he just on the cusp of training camp, I mean, it was like the day before media day, was essentially put on leave by the NBA, and it's Joe Mazzulla, at the time second row Joe, like, here you go, Joe, like this is your job now. And he had to navigate his way through very complicated waters, and that entire media day was players being asked about Udoka. And, you know, do you have his back? And can you believe this has happened? And what's going to happen going forward? And do you believe in Joe? And how are you going to focus? And all of this. And, you know, now these players, especially, you know, in Portland under Billups, because a coaching change is far more significant than just, you know, Rozier's out. Like, that's one player who's not even a huge part of your team. You deal with that.
Yeah.
But you lose a Chauncey Billups, and all of a sudden, like you said, Tiago Splitter is forced into this role. You got your whole season in front of you. That's what you need to try and figure out. Not easy. But let's bring in Sam McQuillan here, legal sports report, who is on Twitter at Sam_McQuill. Sam, really appreciate you hopping on with us here. And look, we've gone over a lot of the details of at least what we've learned so far this morning, what has come out in this story, the FBI press conference, all of it. What are your main takeaways in terms of what happens going forward? Because once the FBI gets involved, you talk about conviction rate. Like, this seems like it's pretty bad for Billups, Rozier, and Jones, among others.
Yeah, it's a great question of kind of where do we go from here now that you have a current player and a current head coach and Hall of Famer now, you know, arrested and awaiting their day in federal court. I think that the big question here is, why did the NBA not A, find anything going on with Billups, and B, why was it reported earlier that everything is okay with Rozier and that nothing's been found? The FBI has to get involved. They can't get involved in every single one of these cases. This took 4 years for them to uncover, and we still don't know fully the scope of the entire thing. We know there was a large gambling ring. We know that ex-Cavaliers coach Damon Jones was involved as well. Who knows if he squeals and mentions more names? But I think the big thing here is the NBA doesn't have enough resources to really kind of police itself. We might be operating under this kind of guise that because everything is legal and everything is regulated, that it's being caught. But at the end of the day, it's incredibly hard to police who people are talking to, who friends and family members are talking to. But when you talk about a guy like Rozier having bags of money delivered to his house after just one game where he played 9 minutes and, you know, allegedly faked an injury, I think we're talking about a real kind of integrity problem with the league, at least from a public perception standpoint, where, you know, we got to make sure that these games aren't fixed. We got to make sure that we're catching the people who are doing this kind of thing. So we'll hear more in the coming weeks as the cases play out. Really interested to see what Billups says, but it's just a wild case. It's really playing out in real time. I think when everyone woke up this morning, nobody had any idea this was going to happen.
Yeah, sticking with that, what kind of legal exposure could the NBA itself face? You know, if the prosecutors argue that they failed to detect or report legal, you know, issues with potential gambling violations, like, could the NBA itself face some legal troubles coming up?
There could be a theoretical class action lawsuit that people that lost money on Rozier filed. I think that would be very hard to prove in court, but certainly it would be bad look for the NBA to have any of that kind of lawsuit. Now, the CBA and the way everything is written does really protect them from all these kind of things. That's why you didn't see anything happen of that nature with Ountae Porter. I think the biggest kind of thing here, legal-wise, is, you know, how do the people that make laws react? We don't want them to ban player props. We don't want them to put this stuff in the dark, so to speak. So how does the NBA kind of handle all that on that front? It's going to be a lot of political pushback, that's for sure.
What do you suppose this means for the league and its gambling partners going forward?
Yeah, I think it's only going to place an even bigger emphasis on the need to have these gambling partners as you see new forms of sports betting that some say is unregulated, platforms like Kalshi and Polymarket out there, which don't have these kinds of relationships with the leagues, which are supposed to kind of find these kind of things. I think it's going to kind of be more ammo to the fire of why the leagues need to have these relationships with betting partners. And from a sportsbook standpoint, why they need to have access for more player information. Sportsbooks right now cannot prevent NBA players from betting on themselves. They can't, track who's in their network. They have to work with outside firms to kind of, play catch up, so to speak. The CBA is written right now where it doesn't allow sportsbooks that information. If the sportsbooks want to get that information, this certainly is kind of more ammo to get that kind of thing done. But it should only put more pressure on the public sharing kind of nature of the information that the players have.
Organized crime has been something that we feel like is a thing of the past in the United States. When you have a case that involves the FBI and potential organized crime organizations, what does that mean for the scale of this entire investigation?
Yeah, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that were at stake here, which is just incredible. It was only about $200,000 that was bet on Terry Rozier's prop, but anytime the feds get involved in sports betting, whether it's federal investigators, whether it's the government, that's bad because it was supposed to be left up to the states. And I think the messaging here is, if the states can't handle this, if the leagues can't handle this, and the FBI, as we know, already has their resources stretched thin all over the country. If they have to get involved to uncover this kind of thing, it really puts a lot of pressure on the states and, again, the leagues to get their act together.
Yeah, guys, really big day for the Italian mob. Huge comeback.
Isn't a big day.
Hadn't heard about them in quite a while. Sam McQuillan, Legal Sports Report on Twitter at Sam_McQuill. Sam, appreciate you hopping on for a few. I know it's been a chaotic day, but look forward to connecting again as this saga unfolds.
Yep, thanks a lot, Adam.
Absolutely. All right, so Ountae, we're going to continue on, obviously, here on Hold My Banner. We're going to get back to games, if we can imagine that. Yeah. Players, sports, things that do not involve the law. And talk about this upcoming road trip and a big test that the Celtics have with the New York Knicks coming up, again, as we sit here just more than 24 hours away. Stay with us. Hold My Banner continues on NESN Nation.
I said this before. I truly believe this team is a deep team, and you give Leon Rose and his group a lot of credit for it. It's my job to keep trying to find combinations out on the floor that work, and just like they got a lot of room to grow, I got a lot of room to grow too, because I'm still learning them. And the neat part about it is there are a lot of different ways I can go with it, and I can learn on the fly because we have guys that can play. And, I'd like to play a lot of guys. I don't know if I'll play 11 guys every night, but we'd like to play, as many as we can. And we want everybody to be ready in case their number's called at any time.
That's Mike Brown, who, of course, has bounced around the NBA as a head coach, but one game under his belt in New York now, the first after the Tom Thibodeau era, and the Knicks had a nice comeback win at home, Madison Square Garden, against the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, 119-111. As Brown was talking about, played 11 guys. Now, Joe Mazzulla played 10, so we're not talking about a huge difference, obviously. And, really, like Trey Jamison III played 8 minutes. So he basically still ran 10 guys out there. But Jaylen Brunson, former Clutch Player of the Year, 23, 19, Karl Anthony Towns, who was playing through a grade 2 quad strain. So that's, worth noting. OG Anunoby was awesome, 24 and 14, double-double for him. Mikal Bridges went for 16. It was a balanced offensive attack. Even got 15 off the bench out of Miles McBride. And so with the Celtics heading to New York now to take on this team tomorrow, what are the expectations?
What are the expectations?
You about to hit me with the Travis Thomas pain.
I mean, it feels like that. It feels like we're headed towards that. You know, I watched that team as I was getting ready to watch the Celtics play. I was watching the first half of that game, and, you know, I was looking at this kid, Ariel Hawkporty, and I'm like, who is this dude? Why is he in the lineup? You know what I mean? What is he going to do tonight? And then he comes out, and he's playing against those two twin towers that the Cavaliers has, and he's getting blocks, and he's getting rebounds, he's running the floor hard, and I'm like, oh, man, we need a little bit of that here in Boston. This kid might be a little bit of a problem. I don't know if Mitchell Robinson's going to play. I have no idea what Cat's going to bring, if he's going to be healthy, is he going to be ready to go. I have no idea. But what I do know is that New York Knicks team plays fast. They play aggressive. They will block shots. Mm-hmm. They have energy. They're rejuvenated. They hate Boston.
Sure.
We're coming to their house.
Yeah, people are going to be ready to be bing-bonging in the streets, man.
It might be a game that might get a little out of hand. I'm just saying. I'm not predicting it or wanting it, but I'm looking ahead and I'm saying this could get ugly pretty fast for this Boston Celtics team because this Knicks team is exactly who we thought they were. They're talented. They're well-coached. They're re-driven. And they have the stars. Like you said, Jaylen Brunson, former clutch player of the year, probably a guy that I think you pegged as an All-NBA player, first-team All-NBA guy this year. They're going to come in with a lot of expectations. They're going to see a wounded Boston Celtics team, and they're going to be like a lion and try to attack that thing. So this could get ugly fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think my number one concern, and this is going to, how many times over the course of the season are we going to have this conversation? I mean, we've already had it multiple times going into the season. It's just anytime you're going against a team that has legitimate size, like obviously this New York team does, you're thinking about rim protection. You're thinking about rebounding. And yes, the Celtics did out-rebound the Sixers last night. You know, it was by 2. The offensive glass, like you noted before, was even 10 apiece. But, man, I'm thinking about this New York team that was going against a Cleveland squad that has Jared Allen, that has Evan Mobley, and even still just abused them on the boards. It was 48-32 was the margin of victory on the glass. If it looked like that way against Cleveland, what's that going to look like against Boston?
Right. It was one of those things, too, I think the Knicks were also getting to the rim, getting fouled, making free throws, doing a lot of things. They also didn't shoot it that well against that Cavaliers team. And they found a way. Jaylen Brunson made 1 3. He made his first one.
1 for 9.
He made his first one and then missed the next 8. And he decided, I'm just going to go ahead and get to the rim and make these bigs foul me. We just talked about that with the 76ers. They did that without a Jaylen Brunson. Now, Edgecombe, Maxey, very good players. Not on the caliber of drawing fouls as a Jaylen Brunson is. So if he's going to be able to get to the line and get whatever he wants, OG Anunoby is going to be able to get downhill and get whatever he wants. This could be a problem for these bigs. We're going to be seeing Josh Minot playing the 5. We might even be seeing Jaylen Brown playing the 5 in this game. If they don't take care of the issues that they had on Wednesday night, Friday night in the Garden, with that roaring MSG sound, with the bing bong, all of that energy going on, I just can't predict anything but good things good things for this Celtics team. It's going to be ugly. It really could be.
Between what Maxey and Edgecombe did, and we talked about it, almost had 76 points by themselves against the 76ers. Went for 74, obviously, in that game. And these are not, Edgecombe's a rookie. Like, I think he's going to be a star in this league, but he's a rookie. He played his first game. Maxey drops 40, which is not out of the realm of character. He did that often last year with either no Embiid, no George, or both out of the lineup. But even still, Tyrese Maxey is not that guy that you think about that's like, yeah, he's first, second team All-NBA. Like, what are Brunson and just this backcourt in general, and any good backcourt, but we're focused on New York. What's this backcourt going to do against Boston's, guard defense, perimeter defense? Like, there are just so many ways that you worry about the Celtics getting abused.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where the shooting's going to have to show up because defensively they just don't have it right now. They just don't. You know what I mean? I like Anthony. I feel like as the game came along, he started to make more plays defensively, gave effort the entire time, but started to figure out who he is in this Boston defensive system. But when you see those drives that you have when Edgecombe comes straight downhill from the free throw line and just booms on you 2 possessions after he got it, and then you see possession after possession. Okay, Oh, Josh Minot, you want to guard Maxey on the perimeter? Here's a tween, cross, step back, three. And it's just net, bottom of the rim. And once again, like I said, that New York team did not shoot well. So the same things that Boston is thinking about themselves of how they have to shoot it better, how Derrick White has to get involved earlier and score it better, how Peyton Pritchard has to score it better. The New York Knicks are thinking the same exact thing. And guess what? They have the talent and the depth to do so. So somebody's going to figure it out. They're not going to have a situation where McQuillan goes 1 for 3, Cat goes 1 for 4, Brunson goes 1 for 9, Tyler Kolek even coming off the bench going 1 for 3. You're not going to see that every single night for them. So they have the off night. They're going to find a way to put it in the hole at this point. So the Boston Celtics have to match fire with fire. If they're not going to be able to get stops, which I am predicting that they probably will struggle to do, then they have to put the ball in the basket. Those threes got to drop tomorrow night.
Again, 26% not even,
Right.
the Celtics against the Sixers. I don't worry about Peyton Pritchard regularly going 1 of 7. He's going to be better. And honestly, if we're going to sit here and talk about Mazzulla ball and talk about how we want them to play and all that, Anthony Simons went 2 of 6 from 3.
Right.
I want him to take 12.
Same thing with Hauser.
I want him to take more attempts. Yeah, Hauser went 2 of 6 as well.
Yeah.
Jaylen went 2 of 4. He's capable. Derrick White 4 of 13. That feels appropriate.
Right.
I want Simons and Hauser, guys that can make the 3. If that's how the Celtics are going to have to win games.
Yes.
By outscoring their opponents because maybe the defense isn't there. I want more.
Well, yeah, if you're going to not give us the 2 big lineup, and we're probably definitely not going to see it at this point with Luka Garza now being in concussion protocol.
Right.
Like, you can't put Boucher out there in the starting lineup knowing that you need a backup big, you know what I mean, in the situation. So, if you're not going to give me that 2 big lineup and give me size and give me an ability to block shots and, do all of that stuff, then you have to give me, if I'm Hauser, I can't go 2 for 6. I gotta go 2 for 10. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm missing them, you know what I mean? I gotta be aggressive because on most cases he will go 4 for 10 instead. Like, the next 2 will go in instead of him just shying away like, oh, okay, I'm 2 for 6 and now I'm not gonna shoot it anymore. He'll probably make 3 for 7 and then go 3 for 8 and then make 4 for 9 and then miss that's probably how it's going to go out for him. So they have to be aggressive shooting, which is the Joe Mazzulla way. I think he's just trying to figure out how good of a shooting team this team really is.
43 attempts from 3, oftentimes going to be north of 50, so get ready for that. But Jaylen Brown, I've listened to the radio driving in. There are already people on Jaylen for this is why he's not a 1. He's got to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game. It can't be Peyton Pritchard taking 2 shots at the end and all that stuff. He's not working hard enough to get to the ball, yada, yada, yada. Jaylen had a good night.
He did.
He went 9 of 18, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 6 from the free throw line, so he got to the stripe, 25 points, tied with Derrick White for the lead, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Honestly, I think there were more playmaking opportunities than even just the 4 assists would reflect.
Right.
I was pretty happy with Jaylen Brown's game, but does it need to look any different against the Knicks?
I would say no. I think it's timely buckets. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people were getting a lot of good looks. They just weren't making them for the Boston Celtics. And even, people will talk about the Peyton Pritchard at the end of the game and Jaylen Brown not getting the ball. What about the fact that Xavier Tillman got an offensive rebound when they were down 2 late in that game, and he gets it and he just has absolutely no legs and shoots a 4-foot floater off the front of the rim.
Awful.
You know what I mean? Like, they had opportunities as a team. This is a team sport to go and win that game, right? And they just didn't make them. So, yes, Jaylen Brown could have done a play or 2 here. Everyone could have done a play or 2 here. But I don't need him to go out there and slow down the game and make it stagnant, because the Boston Celtics, at least the Boston Celtics that we have in this iteration of the game, need to be a team where guys are attacking in and night out. What we talked about throughout the preseason about how great this Boston Celtics was when they were playing was, oh my God, Josh Minot gave you 10 points. You know what I mean? Oh my God, Chris Boucher made 2 threes. Those are the things that the Boston Celtics were missing last night.
Sure.
We talk about the stars, Anthony Simons. Yeah, we talk about, Keita obviously having a good game. We talk about how, Peyton Pritchard, I got Porzingis on my mind.
He hit some threes last night for Atlanta. Looked good. We even found out what the mystery illness was.
Right. But Peyton Pritchard, you know what I mean? We know those things have to happen. But yes, the middle guys, the Luka Garza obviously being out,
Sure.
the Josh Minot not really having that great of an offensive game or having impact on the offensive end, those are the guys who have to make the extra play too. If you have 2, 3, 4 of those, the Boston Celtics win this going away.
You said Tillman didn't have the legs at the end. Why not?
I think this team isn't used to playing those kind of minutes
He
anymore.
only played 16 minutes.
But when's the last time that Tillman did play 16 minutes in a real NBA game? You know what I mean? Adrenaline is different. You know it. You know what I'm saying? You played sports before. You played.
Not on a high level.
But you play when you play. You know, when you're playing outside with your buddies or whatever.
Sure.
It's a lot different than when that crowd is really there and it's thumping and it means something, right? So it's the same thing for these guys. Playing that preseason game, you know, the adrenaline doesn't get pumping. But then when Paul Pierce is sitting courtside, that's when the adrenaline changes. So you run out of energy early.
I'm looking
late
it
in that
up.
game.
When do you think the last time, non-preseason obviously, Xavier Tillman played 16 minutes in a game? Now that you've said this.
It was probably during that 24 season when he was with the Celtics, when he first got to the Celtics. It was probably like right at the beginning when he first came to the Celtics, or it was when he was at the end with Memphis.
It was almost 1 year ago to the day. He played 18 minutes, scored 3 points in a game against the Pistons, 124-118, October 26th of last year.
Yeah, in Detroit.
In Detroit.
I remember that game. Yeah.
In fact, there was a stretch of 4 games. This is what's kind of goofy, where he played this from start of the year. First game, 18 minutes, 15, 18, 15. And at that point, he basically played 8 the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're asking guys to do a lot more, and it's going to take time for them to get used to that increased role.
26.
I'm not saying it's just it takes time to get used to what you are and what you're doing with this team, right?
Yeah.
When he was playing that game, he wasn't asked to be this incredible defender like he was guarding Embiid. He wasn't asked to get all these rebounds. He was just asking to come in and fill minutes, probably. You know what I mean? Because you had a JT, you had a JB, you had all these other guys that actually had to carry weight. Now he's asked to carry weight. It's a lot different to play 16 minutes of that versus 18 minutes of, hey, if you get a shot, knock it down. You know what I'm saying?
So at New York,
Yep.
at Detroit, at New Orleans.
Yep.
Those 3 games are all happening before we are back with everyone here on Hold My Banner.
Yeah.
Then Boston will be back home against Cleveland, so that should be easy. What are your expectations after 4 games? What's the record? 0-1. So you got 3 games in front of you, all on the road, all against teams that could be playoff teams.
Yeah.
We'll see how big a jump, how healthy New Orleans can be, how Detroit hangs around in the middle of the Eastern Conference, kind of like Boston. Detroit and Boston, similar level. What are you expecting here from this trip?
I'm expecting 0-2 after Friday.
Okay.
And they're splitting. They're getting one of those 2 between New Orleans and Detroit. I want to say it's Monday. But after watching Detroit play the Chicago Bulls last night, I was left with a little left to be desired. Let's just say that.
No, I'm with you. I think it's a 1-2 trip. I mean, obviously I'll move the goalpost maybe if Boston shocks us and beats New York.
That'd be great.
I don't see that happening either.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they don't get humiliated.
Can I get a score prediction real quick for New York? Just that game?
I want it.
We were just off.
I wonder if
I was looking at that. You know how I said 112, 107? We were at like 111, 107 with like a minute 40 left.
I just want to look to see, because I know we got a break, but is the line out? Knicks are 6-point favorites.
Okay.
A total of 227.5.
Vegas is nicer than we are.
And by the way, shout out Travis, who nailed the over on the first game.
Right,
I thought that was going to be lower scoring, but he nailed that one. Knicks 6-point favorites. I think I'd play it with New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. I think this is a game. I don't know about double figures, but I think this New York wins this game probably by 8-9 points.
That's what I was thinking. You know, I say out of hand, but I think it gets to 15 and then it comes back down to earth a little bit. So I won't give you the exact score, but
sure.
I'm with you on that.
All right, we're going to step aside one last time. When we come back, game time. No, not the old Chicago Bulls, but Ountae, he's got a game for us on Hold My Banner, so stick around. All right, so as we ready ourselves for Celtics-Knicks, which again is a day away. One more sleep till we get there. Back with Ountae Adam, and it's game time. It's game time. We like to mix in games here on Hold My Banner every now and then. Sometimes we play Purtle, sometimes, and for the first time this season,
we play Wicket or Kick It. Bow, bow, bow. We're back. Adam, look, we got to go straight with our guy. Of course, we got a picture of Jaylen Brown. What do you think of this one? Shout out to the Celtics for this photo. How do you think about this fit?
Yeah, listen, no Jaylen Brown bias here at all. This could be anyone. This could be, this could be Giannis. I am just straight up ranking the outfit.
Yep.
It's wicked.
Okay.
That's a smooth, comfortable fit. It looks sharp. Obviously, I'm just a big fan of the all black to begin with.
Yeah.
And not everybody can pull that off. Obviously, Jaylen can pull it off. I think the chain's a nice touch. Now, look, people are looking at me right now like, what kind of fashion sense do I have to be evaluating other people? But it's a wicked fit.
Okay, look, I'm with you. I do like this fit. Where he lost me is the Steve Irwin at the top. Like that hat with those Oakley. I know he's sponsored by Oakley, but those Oakley shades, I can't do it. It looks like a croc from down under. I gotta go crocky. Like he looks like he's tackling alligators in this fit, dog. Are you getting ready to play the 76ers? Or are you getting ready to go back on the bayou? Or I have no idea what he's doing with that part. But everything else I love. And so because I don't love that as much, I'm gonna teeter it down just a little bit. I'm gonna give you anything over 7, by the way, is wicked for me. So I'm gonna give this a 7.2 out of 10. Wicked fit.
No, I'm pushing that thing. I don't know about a decimal point, but I'm pushing that thing up over 8.
Okay.
It's somewhere just north. I'm higher on it than you. Yeah, like I don't. What do you call those caps?
Yeah.
I can't even think of the name of them.
I don't know.
The bucket caps or whatever. Is that what it is? The bucket hat. I think it works.
Yeah.
Works for me. I mean, a backwards black cap would be sharper.
Yeah.
But the bucket hat works for me.
All right. What about this one? Switching over to league MVP from last year. Winner of the first game of the NBA season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, shout out to League Fits, and Amar Multani for this picture. What do you think of this one, Adam?
The first thing that crosses my mind is like he should call up Nelly and get a Band-Aid. This is just no. I'm not. I'm kicking this one.
Give me 2 pair. I need
getting his Air Force One.
No, he ain't got the Air Force One. He got those Converse Shea ones. We see those.
No, again, I'm not doing the all black versus the all white. This is just the style, like the long shorts that go below the knee, where you can see like 3 inches of the ankles, and then obviously the cutoff sleeves. Can we zoom in on the head? Is that a band like a wide bandana?
He loves those bandanas. I don't know what's up with that.
No, he needs the Nelly Band-Aid right across the cheek right there, and that would complete this for me. No, I'm kicking this one to the curb, man. I don't like this at all.
Didn't D Wade have like Converse shoes at one point? I feel like I remember.
He might have, yeah.
It feels like he needs the D Wade Band-Aid under his eye too. I'm gonna go kick it on this one, and the only reason that I'm gonna go kick it on this one is because Shai, man, you got a lot of aura, but we got to bring you down just a peg. And you and Chet. I have to say, I'm getting on the high horse, and this might be a little of me shaming Chet, and that's why I don't like this fit. Did you see Chet with the leg sleeves on that made his legs, like the calf sleeves on in game 1, that made his legs look a little bit skinnier?
What I saw from Chet post game, did you see him?
No shirt on with the towel?
No shirt. He just comes out with like a robe or whatever, and he's got the championship
this team
ring.
needs to be knocked down just a peg. I'm giving them kick it on this one.
As champs.
It's a 6.7. I'll give it 6.8.
Too high.
But it's a kick it. Kick this one to the curb. All right.
It's like Jamie Kennedy out of what was that? Malibu's Most Wanted.
That's exactly.
He looks like an extra in Malibu's Most Wanted.
For sure.
I'm giving this a 4.3.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm gonna give it. Take it way down.
Trash. All right. What about this one? Shout out to Wembanyama for his game last night. Absolutely monstrous. Setting the league on fire.
Generational
and
talent.
Putting the teams on notice. Shout out to League Fist for this photo as well. Victor Wembanyama, what do you think of this outfit from him?
I can't believe they make clothes that big. You need to have a tailor on retainer.
How many sheep do you think they have to collect to get this wool jacket for him, man?
Those are legit the tallest jeans that I have ever seen. I know he's not the tallest man in the history of the world, but those are the tallest jeans I have ever seen.
And the baggy. He's got the baggy joints. They're not even tight. They're hanging over his ankles.
Yeah, let's zoom in on these pants just a little bit. I mean, look, it's a sharp kind of really tall Urkley fit with the sweater, obviously. But no, I mean, I'm just not going to say anything bad about Wemby after what he did on the floor. You know, ragdolling dudes, like reverse dunks without even jumping because he's so damn tall. You know, shaking guys off for step back 3-pointers at almost 8 feet. And they kept saying on the broadcast, this guy might not be done growing yet. It is insane. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Whether it's Wemby, Shohei Ohtani, obviously. Like, we are just blessed to be living at a time that these dudes are playing.
100%. This video game character outfit that he has on fits his persona because he's a video game character. There's no way to explain what he did to that Dallas Mavericks team. He absolutely broke the way that I think about basketball. How do you guard him? I don't know. His stylist, A+ for this fit. He actually looks congruent. He doesn't look like he's 7'5" in this photo.
It works.
It works. Shout out to Wemby. I got to give him a 10 out of 10. That's the only way. I mean, this is wicked, dog.
I feel like 10 is a hard bar to climb. I'm north of 9 though.
Yeah.
I'll go like 9.4, 9.5, something like that. I mean, I don't know what's missing to get it to a 10, but
the game got me to a 10. That's all I'm
fair.
saying.
Our game gets you to a 14.
You're right.
Game send you to a doctor. I mean, it's unbelievable what he was doing. But I got to tell you, and I tweeted this last night, my own like stupid jokes that I'll call back. For real, like you play 2K.
Yeah.
My kids play 2K, and you do like franchise mode and create a player, and you goof around. You can create yourself, obviously. My kids will mess around. It's like, no, let's get a little wild. Yeah. Create that dude who's like 7'9", but a 99 rating for 3-pointer. And I got to say, like, you can't do that. Like that's make believe. That's imaginary. You can't mess around in these streets, and they go do it anyway. And evidently, they created Wemby in real life because that's what this dude is doing. Launching and swishing 3-pointers at north of 7.5 feet tall. It's dumb.
Yeah, it is
unreal.
Dumb. All right, last thing that I got to ingratiate you to on this program, we do a league pass game of the weekend or whatever. Adam, I'll give you opportunity. What is your league pass game? What should somebody be watching if they have NBA league pass?
Yeah, I mean, it's Spurs at the Pelicans. You want to go watch more of what Wemby just did. This is why this dude is going to be in the MVP conversation. All defensive team, all NBA first team, defensive player of the year. Put him in all the conversations. This is why Trav had the Spurs at number 3 in the Western Conference. If last night was any indication of what's to come, man, I want to watch Wemby every night. And the Pelicans, while they're still healthy, they're going to be fun too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're going to watch two freaks. You're going to watch an alien, and you're going to watch Zion Williamson.
Skinny Zion.
Who can jump out the gym. I'm going to give you the Thompson twins. Go watch Pistons at Rockets tomorrow night. Two great teams that fight against each other and play hard-nosed defense. I want to see how that goes. Can these teams get on the offensive swing? That's what I'm looking for.
Well, we hit it all. Our thanks to Jenny, to Toby, to Sam McQuillan, obviously, for Ountae. I am Adam. We'll be back with you again. It's Tuesdays, Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Nesson Nation, hold my banner. Long Celtics season ahead, hopefully just a little bit less frustrating along the way.
Peace.